Illinois State Capitol. This is your Capitol Connection.
Welcome to Capitol Connection. I'm Mark Maxwell. This week, Governor Rauner signed a new bill into law immediately expanding access to medical marijuana, specifically for patients who are currently being prescribed opioids. The director of public health in Illinois said this could help to curb opioid use and overdoses.
The use of medical cannabis may be associated with a significant reduction in opioid use. The early evidence is very encouraging. A study funded by the National Institute for Drug Abuse found a strong link between medical cannabis use and fewer opioid overdose deaths in certain states.
One local medical marijuana dispensary owner told us he expects they will be able to double their employees from 40 to 80 as a result of this new law. And also, Governor Rauner struck down another bill that would raise the legal age to smoke tobacco products from 18 to 21. Health advocates were not happy. Neither were his political opponents.
He didn't engage in a conversation with me. He thanked me for calling. I told him if he signed the bill, I'd say nice things about him. He kind of laughed at that. And then he vetoed the bill. And in his message, he obviously has missed the point.
I know the president is an advocate for that bill. He's worked on it for a long time. I just disagree with the president on that regulation. I don't think that's going to change smoking among young people.
And the campaign trail now, Governor Rauner is attacking his Democratic rival, J.B. Pritzker. A new attack ad focuses on Pritzker's threat to do away with the private school tax credits for poor children in underperforming schools, giving them a scholarship route to get into a private school.
I'm opposed to that $75 million tax credit, that school voucher program that he's created, and we should, as soon as possible, do away with it.
And a debate is forming between the running mates, Democrat Juliana Stratton and Republican Evelyn Sanguinetti, both issuing different comments, one in support of a progressive income tax with vague details, another calling it bad for Illinois.
We need to know whether we're going to end up paying more. The guidance that we're receiving from the legislature is that as middle-class people in Illinois, this is a tax hike on all of our backs, which we cannot afford.
We are committed to a fair tax system, making sure that wealthier pay more and that the majority of Illinoisans will pay less in their taxes.
And education groups came to the forefront this week to criticize Governor Rauner for vetoing another bill that would have, over time, raised teachers' minimum wage up to $40,000 a year.
If this passed, we would have to cut teachers the following year and have deficit spending. And I think a lot of school districts would be in that situation if this happened.
We're disappointed. You know, this governor has talked a lot about being the education governor, and even in his veto message, he talks about how important educators are to our students and to our system. But we've seen in not only this piece of legislation, but also in others, that he's vetoed a number of bills that would really begin to support that statement.
And we're back in just a moment with reaction from State House reporters. Stay with us.
In 1976, Millard and Linda Fuller saw the homeless in America and didn't look away. In Georgia, they picked up hammers and nails and went to work. With low-income families and committed volunteers, they built more than houses, but a partnership in hundreds of American cities. They called it Habitat for Humanity. Volunteers and supporters, you can join today and help others build themselves a better life. Habitat!
This volunteer moment brought to you by McGuire Homes.
Welcome to Toyota's National Clearance Event. Only happens once a year. We've got the last of the 2018s. Get in here. I think we need more signs.
Toyota, let's go places.
There's a whole lot of blame that goes around. Democrats blame Republicans, Republicans blame Democrats, and things don't get done. The most important thing we can do is lead by example, and that's something that I've tried to do each day that I've had the privilege of serving. Proposing a no-budget, no-pay law, refusing the legislative pension, demanding term limits on legislative leaders, and freezing property taxes. There's a time for change, and that time is now.
Get ready for the best deals of the year during the Super Labor Day sale at Denver Mattress. The Queen Size Summit is just $179.99, or upgrade to a free adjustable base when you purchase select Tempur-Pedic mattress sets. And choose free Bose noise masking earbuds, a free $300 Furniture Row gift certificate, or a free 50-inch LED TV with any qualifying purchase. Plus, 7 years, no interest. Save big during the Super Labor Day sale only at Denver Mattress. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
At Osling & Associates, we handle bankruptcy and only bankruptcy. When you need help, call Osling & Associates. There's only a $700 fee for single filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Bankruptcy questions? Visit our website at bcyhelp.com. An emergency bankruptcy can stop foreclosures, judgments, repossessions, utility shutoffs, and court proceedings. Call Osling & Associates with 20 Illinois offices to serve you. Call Osling & Associates now and stop the collection calls.
It's always home improvement season, and Rental City has what you need to get the job done right. From chairs to mini skids. Whether it's a once-a-season or once-in-a-lifetime job, head to Rental City to get the tools and advice to get the job done right. Rental City, Champaign.
You're watching Capital Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
And it's time now for our Reporters Roundtable. Jacqueline Driscoll with NPR Illinois and Raquel Martin with us this week. Thanks for joining us. It was a busy week in the marijuana/hemp industry. Governor Rauner surprising maybe some of his critics in signing into law a medical marijuana expansion. In fact, Senator Don Harmon, a Democrat, joked at the bill signing, "I'm going to stop predicting which of my bills you're going to sign and which you won't sign." But this gives patients and doctors who are currently prescribing or using opioids a new alternative to use medical marijuana. It's not just a big deal for the patients, but a big deal for some of these dispensaries and businesses as well.
Yeah, it can definitely take off, because I know right now medical marijuana is only available for people with about 40 different conditions. So this is going to definitely open up the floodgates for people able to access marijuana here in the state of Illinois. So it's going to do a lot for the industry, but what it's supposed to do is stop people from going towards opioids, because I guess now anyone who's eligible for an opioid medication can now sign up and apply for medical marijuana instead.
Yeah, the politics of this bill signing are interesting, right? Because it brings Governor Rauner a little bit closer to the political middle, where most Americans approve recreational marijuana. J.B. Pritzker does too. So it brings him closer to that, but at the same time, it also fights the opioid epidemic. And the director of public health pointed to studies that say when people in states have that as an alternative, addiction to opioids and abuse of opioids goes down.
And I think it's important to point out as well with this legislation, it gives patients immediate temporary access, right? So instead of signing up and getting their cards, they're able to get a certification from their doctor, and they're able to go access the medicinal marijuana right away in hopes that they won't need opioids at all. And then once they are approved, they'll get that ID card that is required.
Yeah, one local owner said some people have to wait as long as 90 days. In fact, he said some terminally ill patients have applied for their card, died before they got it. So it was very interesting. There was also some development in the hemp and agricultural side as well. Some people conflate these issues, but this was a very specific, different issue. What did we learn about that in Illinois this year?
This is something that the Illinois Farm Bureau has been pushing for more than a decade. Hemp has been something that they've wanted to grow again. It is obviously a derivative of the cannabis plant, so it is still illegal federally, but it has very low levels of THC. I spoke with an advocate who said if you smoke any type of hemp, you're just going to get a headache. You're not going to feel any effects. So legalizing a program to allow farmers to grow industrial hemp is something that the Farm Bureau has been pushing for years, and now farmers will have an alternative crop to grow.
And supporters of it say it's a very versatile crop. They can do a lot with it.
I know I talked to a farmer who has been struggling to grow his, the go-to soybean and corn crops here, and he said he's going to now start growing hemp because it is a $2 billion industry. That's what experts in the industry are projecting it is. So he definitely thinks he can cash in a lot more with this product, just because it's so versatile. You can make it into cosmetics. You can make it, they say you can make anything that you can make out of wood, you can make out of hemp. So it can
the governor's
do a lot.
Picking up praise from the agricultural industry as well as a few others this week with some of the bills he signed. But speaking of things you can smoke, there was this tobacco 21 ban. There was a bill, the legislature passed it. It would have raised the legal limit in Illinois to buy tobacco products from 18 to 21, but it also would have changed the way the state penalizes people who violate that law, and so the governor struck it down.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
He doesn't believe it'll actually prevent young people from smoking. He thinks that they're just going to find new ways to get their hands on it, if that's through the black market, or he says maybe they'll cross state lines, and then that's an economic issue for him. And then I know also when you talk about the penalty, instead of these minors being penalized or anyone under 21,
the users,
it would be the store owners who give that out, that would be penalized. So I don't think Governor Rauner thought that was an effective way to go about it, and that's why he vetoed it.
And there are studies that show that teen smoking is down, at least in terms of cigarettes, but if you look at the opposition to this bill, a large majority of those opposed to it are vape shops and those in the vaping industry, and I think that was an area that was targeted that people didn't think about in terms of younger kids smoking. So I think that that's something that they're going to have to consider or maybe talk about more as they move to November and attempt to override this veto.
All right, well, that got the governor a little bit of criticism this week from some health associations. There was also another bill that Governor Rauner vetoed. In fact, the Pritzker campaign labeled him, quote, Governor Veto this week. They're hoping that that message sticks. But he struck down a bill that would have, over time, raised the minimum wage for teachers, I believe by the year 2022, up to $40,000. Senator Andy Manar and a lot of, I think, Representative Sue Shearer, some downstate Democrats had really pushed this idea. And they're hoping, I think, that there's some backlash now where politically the governor will be damaged by this veto.
Yeah, not so surprisingly, teacher unions were, pushing this, behind this, but school administrators just didn't think it was practical. I talked to a few. They couldn't budget for it, saying that, there was no way they were going to be able to increase all those salaries and be able to still perform their jobs. They were saying they would have to make cuts. So I know I talked to teacher unions this year about, not this year, but this week about this veto. They were saying that they hope that J.B. Pritzker is elected, because J.B. Pritzker did make a promise this week that if he was governor, he would definitely sign this bill into law.
And I think a little bit of politics did come into play here. I don't know that it would have been pushed as hard had it not been an election year. It's no surprise that our schools haven't been properly funded for years. Fun little fact, I used to be a teacher, and I know that going into that particular field, I wasn't paid a lot. I was paid $36,000 annually, but I was lucky enough to not have student debt, so it is difficult for people who want to go into that field, but you also have to consider how districts, especially downstate districts where Senator Andy Manar is represented or represents those constituents, how they're going to pay for it, because some of them just can't. It could mean cuts, it could mean larger class sizes, more teachers doing more.
Yeah, larger class sizes is a big thing. People close to the education, I won't call it an industry, but to that arena, they feel that that's a very important thing to the quality of education for the kid. And those are some of the cuts that I think you were describing. And some fiscal conservatives said, hang on a minute, this is another one of those unfunded mandates, one of those dirty words in the education arena as well.
Something Governor Rauner is never privy to. He's against unfunded mandates when it comes to education. He's vetoed not just this teacher bill, but I think at least a handful of other bills that were, in his words, unfunded mandates for the education system here.
Well, lawmakers haven't been in this building for months. They won't be back in this building for months, but still a lot of things changing. Bills becoming law this week. Thank you to Jacqueline and Raquel for helping us break some of that down. We're back in just a moment.
When you're a failure, you lie. Bruce Rauner is intentionally misquoting newspapers to lie about J.B. Pritzker. The very same articles make clear Pritzker only wants to raise taxes on wealthy people. Most people would see a tax reduction. Lower and middle income taxpayers would not pay more. And J.B.'s plan increases funding for schools and reduces property taxes on local homeowners. 4 years of failure and lying is enough.
This is Matt. Look at him, the little freak. That calls his mother Mommy, even though he's a full-grown adult kind of freak. Nah, Matt says Mom. Matt's a super fresh lettuce freak, slicing it daily to 3/32 of an inch, the tastiest width for lettuce. Good for you, Matt, you dang lettuce freak. Keep high-quality sandwiching yourself into our hearts. Freaky Fresh, Freaky Fast, Jimmy John's, Freak Yeah.
Excuse me, this bill is almost double what I was expecting.
Well, it covers all your work, and then some.
Then some?
Like office supplies.
Those are fish.
Well, I'm off to the club.
Then some?
Okay, let's try something new.
And here's your statement.
I could hug you.
Bring it in.
At Aspen Dental, we're a different kind of dentist. Not covered by insurance? Get a $19 new patient exam. Schedule online or call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
At the Music Shop and Pro Sound Center, we have many ways to help you make the most of your musical experience.
We have quality rental instruments that band and orchestra students can start with.
And for the progressing student, we have intermediate and professional level models that will make any player proud.
Keep your instruments in great playing condition with regular repair services.
Estimates are always free.
Start, restart, or continue your musical journey with us.
We've been serving music education since 1961.
We promise to come right to your school.
You're watching Capital Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
On this show, we often talk about the people in Illinois and the plans for its future, but rarely do we talk about the state of the state itself, the land, the waters, and the skies in Illinois. Our guest today works in that very field, Carol Hayes with the Prairie Rivers Network, an environmental advocate who fights for cleaner skies, cleaner waters, land, and really the environment in Illinois. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get your reaction to Governor Rauner's move this week to take the first wave of money from the Volkswagen settlement and divert that money away from their original plan to diesel burning engines, and they're going to now use this money to give grants to public schools to buy these electric school buses, cleaner trains, cleaner emitting engines. They're going to try to start using that money to phase out big emitting engines across the state at local governments and everything. This was initially met with some praise from environmental groups. What was your response to this action?
Well, we're very pleased that the governor and the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency made this decision. We think it's a great start to make sure that communities throughout Illinois, but particularly our most vulnerable communities, will be breathing cleaner air, that it lays the foundation for electrifying our transportation grid. Vehicle emissions are one of the top producers of greenhouse gases, and they deplete ozone, which means it impacts our ability to breathe. So this is a really important win for our kids, our future, and frankly for taking advantage of all the solar and clean energy that is beginning to develop across Illinois, which is very exciting for all of us.
The governor's critics say he's pro-dirty energy, he's fossil fuels and big oil and gas and coal, and he does say he's for those things, but he's also for cleaner energy, sort of I believe Congressman Rodney Davis, a Republican, says he's for an all-of-the-above approach. Are you satisfied with that, or do you want to see a change there? And how would you grade, or how does your organization view the overall state of Illinois as it relates to emissions and how this state compares to our neighbors?
So from a sort of energy portfolio perspective, we believe that it is critical that we accelerate the amount of clean energy that we depend on to produce power and to run everything that goes in this state. It's critical for communities, for their health. It's critical for wildlife. And frankly, it's critical for the climate. The faster that we can shift to clean energy, the better off we'll all be. We are particularly excited about the opportunities for solar and the jobs and economic benefits it can bring. It saves not only our health, protects our air and water, but it also provides jobs that are needed, especially downstate right now.
Your group right now is involved in legal action, a lawsuit against Dynegy, and this is a very interesting thing because it involves the Middle Fork River, which is the state's only national scenic river.
Right.
What is the threat? What does the lawsuit seek to do, and what is Dynegy's role here?
So the Middle Fork of the Vermilion River, which is located just outside of Danville, is our state's only national scenic river. It was designated a number of years ago. It is the jewel of central Illinois, a beautiful place that is not only a very popular place for people to come and recreate, but it's also an important place for wildlife that is threatened. So protecting that river is really critical. Along that river, however, sits a closed Dynegy coal-fired power plant, the Dynegy Vermilion plant. It's been closed for a number of years.
So it's not currently burning coal.
It is not currently burning coal, but like every other coal-fired power plant, when it burns coal, the result is coal combustion waste, basically coal ash.
Yeah.
That coal ash has to go somewhere. So it's typically been stored in dug pits that are unlined next to the power plant.
Unlined, meaning there's not like a plastic...
No plastic liner.
Yeah.
And then, so the
They
coal...
dig a big hole in the ground and just dump it.
They
like,
just
as
dump
if
it in
were
the
dirt.
ground and fill it with water. And they increasingly do that over time. The problem with
How
that-
big would one of these look?
They can be very large. And typically there's 2 to 4 impoundments, big pits at every coal ash site, because as they continued to burn more coal, they had to have a place to put it.
Of course, if this were nuclear waste, that would obviously not be safe storage.
Right.
But so was this, in your estimation, was this done in this fashion because it's cheaper than maybe the safer alternative, or do we know why this is the preferred method?
That was the technology of the day.
Okay.
And it's cheaper to not line a pit than it is to leave it unlined.
So now you have all this coal ash sitting in a pit, and the belief and the evidence is that it seeps through and does what exactly?
So based on the data from the energy companies themselves that they have to report to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, we've detected, or they have detected, pollution from these sites, from coal ash in groundwater surrounding the sites. And coal ash has a lot of heavy metals in it, including mercury, things that we definitely do not want to be ingesting through water or water sources. At the site in Vermilion County on the Middle Fork, not only is it leaking into groundwater, but because one of the coal ash impoundments is so close to the riverbank, it's actually now seeping through the bank into the river.
So you would classify this as an active threat, not a potential or a looming threat one
Correct.
day?
It's an active threat.
To the river. What about to people's drinking water?
Right now, it's not affecting people's drinking water, but people recreate in that river. And there's lots of wildlife in that river as well that would be impacted by the heavy metals that are in the river.
Very interesting. So what is the role exactly of the Illinois Attorney General, that office, with this specific suit? And to a larger point, how important is the role of the Attorney General to the environment of the state?
Right now, the Attorney General has not intervened in our lawsuit, so our lawsuit against Dynegy is proceeding through the regular court system. However, the Attorney General's role cannot be understated in protecting our environment and our health. So the Attorney General ensures that the laws of the state are enforced, including our environmental laws. But the Attorney General also represents the state to the federal government to make claims that ensure that federal law is enforced and protects us.
And the state constitution gives the Illinois Attorney General that power, that discretion to protect the state and its citizens. Very interesting. There was also, so we talked a little bit about wind energy, solar energy, and the shift that you talked about, but I understand that you guys are very interested in solar panels and sort of an interesting thing that you've coupled together here with the decline of the monarch butterfly. Explain to my audience exactly how solar panels and monarch butterflies have any link whatsoever.
So monarch butterflies are an iconic species in Illinois. In fact, they're our state insect. And growing up, we saw monarchs everywhere, right? I mean, that was summer, was to see fireflies and monarch butterflies. Sadly, over the past 30 years, we've seen monarchs decline precipitously, but not just monarchs, other pollinators too. So, for example, our native bees are threatened.
And this affects the ecosystem.
That's right. It affects the pollination of plants.
It affects the economy.
And our economy is very dependent on agriculture. So having a thriving pollinator population in the state is really important to our economy. So the way these two things come together is, as a community, we work together, the environmental community worked together this year to get the legislature to pass, and the governor just signed an act that really encourages the planting of pollinator habitat, especially milkweed for monarch butterflies, and they are completely dependent on milkweed to survive.
All right, Carol Hayes with the Prairie Rivers Network. I can tell you're very passionate and involved, and it's always interesting to meet people and hear from people who are so engaged in their environment, literally.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us, Carol. We're back in just a moment.
WCIA3 joins Illini Pella to salute the Junior League of Champaign-Urbana. For the last 85 years, they've developed projects to meet the needs of families and promoted volunteerism, women building better communities for Central Illinois.
Welcome to Toyota's National Clearance Event. Only happens once a year. We've got the last of the 2018s. We have amazing deals.
Great lease deals.
Deals so good. I wish I came up with it, but get in here. Toyota's National Clearance Event is the best part of summer.
Right now, get 0.9% APR on a new 2018 Corolla, or get $2,000 customer cash on Corolla during Toyota's National Clearance Event.
I think we need more signs.
Toyota, let's go places.
At AT&T, we believe in access, the opportunity for everyone to explore a digital world full of possibilities, connecting with family, friends, and the things that matter most. And because nothing keeps us more connected than the internet, we've created Access from AT&T. If a member of your household is a SNAP participant, you may qualify for home internet at a discounted rate of $10 a month. No commitment, deposit, or installation fee. Visit att.com/access now to learn more.
Welcome to Friday Football Fever. Let's go to St. Joseph Ogden.
All right, we're going to take you out to St. Joseph, where we had the Spartans taking on the St. Thomas More Sabres. We're going to have Dwight here taking it up the field on the counter. Will he take it downfield? He won't make it. He'll take it in the next play with no problem. He'll go in untouched for a touchdown for his SJL Spartans.
Friday Football Fever. Friday nights at 10 on WCIA3. Sponsored by Lohman Ray Insurance Group and Illinois State University.
WCIA3 and Wood Specialties salute the Alzheimer's Association. They're working to fund research, provide care and support, and find a cure. Stand with them in the search for that cure and participate in the walk to end Alzheimer's.
You're watching Capital Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
And before we leave, our Capital Correction. It's something where we highlight or fact check something that a politician or public official did or said that needs to be corrected. This week, a company owned by J.B. Pritzker called Entertainment Cruises sent a letter to its employees warning them not to join a union. Why is that important? Democrat J.B. Pritzker, of course, supports unions politically. They support him. That letter reads to the employees of a Pritzker-owned company, quote, "There's only one way to avoid the possible problems a union could cause. Quote, just say no." We reached out to the Pritzker campaign for comment. They said that JB has stepped away from the Pritzker Group and he's no longer involved in the management. They also said that he does not believe in any kind of intimidation efforts against unionization. We asked the campaign, does this letter qualify for intimidation? They wouldn't tell us. We asked them, when exactly did he step away from the Pritzker Group, the company that he owns together with his brother? They wouldn't tell us. We asked him, why did he step away already this early before the election? It's still 9 weeks to go. He hasn't become governor. He hasn't taken an oath of office. Inauguration Day is January. Why has he stepped away already? That would be rather unusual to do that before taking the oath of office. They didn't have an explanation or an answer to exactly when that happened. But further, the Pritzker campaign would not apply the same rules to Governor Rauner. When we learned in recent days that a company that has a contract with the federal government to detain people at or near the southern border is also partially owned by a fund that Governor Rauner invested in, they didn't give him that same arm's length gentleman's agreement that he wasn't involved or responsible for that behavior. Instead, they said he was directly responsible for the behavior of that company that he tangentially owns an interest in. This isn't the first or the last time that a campaign for political office will show some hypocrisy. But it also won't be the last time that we call it out on Capital Correction. We should also note we invited J.B. Pritzker to join us for an interview here on this show this week. They declined. We'll see you next week on Capital Connection. You can stay connected all week by following us on Twitter at CapConnectIL and watch reports from our Capital team on WCIA 3. You can also find us on Facebook or IllinoisHomepage.net.
Get ready for the best deals of the year during the Super Labor Day sale at Denver Mattress. The Queen Size Summit is just $179.99, or upgrade to a free adjustable base when you purchase select Tempur-Pedic mattress sets. And choose free Bose noise masking earbuds, a free $300 Furniture Row gift certificate, or a free 50-inch LED TV with any qualifying purchase. Plus, 7 years, no interest. Save big during the Super Labor Day sale only at Denver Mattress. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
In 1979, one man's love for his wife rallied a nation to help fight